Hey, I'm Dominique with Eastline Outfitter, and I have a few tips for those of you who are new gun owners that are serious about concealed carry or that are trying to really get into it, and you're just kind of open to just learning new things. I have a few tips that I've learned from my experience the hard way, and these are some tips that I think that if those of you who are newer should know now before learning later on the hard way yourself. So it's rather you know this now sooner than later, because it will help you. So the first step is going to be, for those of you that carry Appendix and deal with printing, I want to address some things about this. In my experience, and some of you may or may not have the same experience, but the wind is like my worst enemy. The wind just takes away my element of surprise when I Appendix carry in a shirt just like this, like a very simple light t-shirt. The weather's hot and I just want to carry my gun, Appendix, and go about my day. Go outside, go for a walk, go do some things. But the issue I would have is that the wind, because like I live in New England, so it's windy up here. Like there's always wind out here all seasons. So the wind would just hit my shirt where my gun is, and it would just print. Like I'll be walking by and people just see it. Like, this guy's carrying a gun. Just like that. So if you deal with this and you have issues with this kind of stuff, I do have some recommendations of what you can do. Like my tip was gonna be is that wear like a thicker, you can wear like a thicker type of clothing material. And I'm not talking about like a jacket. And I'm talking in reference for, when it's hot outside. In fact, like just stay away from t-shirts like this. Like you can get like thicker material, like heavier cotton shirts, or get a button up. And that's actually what I've been starting to do recently. I would wear button ups, and it will just take away that issue of like printing. And I'm gonna show you an example. All right, so I'm carrying Appendix, and you can't really see the print, you know what I'm saying? It looks fine. You don't really notice it, and that's good. Like I said, when it comes to carrying Appendix with a light shirt, it's not bad overall. Like you can carry this way, like if you don't have to deal with the whole situation with the wind, you can get away with this. If you're just going to the car, if you're just kind of being around like an environment where like wind is not an issue, overall you're pretty much fine. But like when the wind hits, bro, like you see it, bro. Like, bro, I would walk, and this happened to me a couple times. Like I'd be walking down the street, and my thing's just like this, bro. Like I'm just walking, you just see this big block, just like, whoa, what is that? So that's the issue that I would deal with at times. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I just feel exposed. Like my gun is just showing out there. I don't want to be dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? But let me show you an example with when I wear the button up. All right, so I got the button up on, and there's a thing, like you can't really notice that it's printing. Like, I guess from the side you can kind of see it, but like I have to that's the gun right here. But like, bro, if the wind blew from the front, you won't notice it because like the pattern kind of like, it's hard to tell. You know what I'm saying? And also, this material it's thicker than like the shirt. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna be as like lightly like coated all around. Like you barely notice it. But here's the thing: if you're gonna be carrying Appendix with a shirt like this, which is good because it helps with that concealability, you don't have to deal with that wind issue. But if you're gonna carry an Appendix like this, just know that the way you draw the gun with this kind of shirt is gonna be very different than the regular t-shirt. Because the regular shirt, like it has like this, it's not split at the bottom like this. It just has this band all around. And you just grab it at any angle and it pulls up. You can't do it the same way like this because the way the shirt is, it's like when you grab one end, it's tight on the other side, So it won't kind of be the same way. It's kind of weird. So the way to draw from concealment with a shirt like this, I would find like a little sweet spot, and I'll practice a bunch of times to where whatever plays out best. So I would find like a sweet spot, like somewhere around here, and I would just grab it. Because what I'm going for is like, I want to go to where a little bit below and above the grip, and I could just kind of grab the shirt and lift it up, and then have access to just get my right hand in there and grab the gun. Because if I do it like in the middle, like if I grab from the middle of where the gun is, like I have to lean back a little bit to really get it. Because if I don't lean back, it'll just feel weird to me. It doesn't feel like the draw is smooth because my hand's here, and then look, I'm drawing the gun, but it's hitting my arm that's holding up. So I like kind of grab it more towards the butt of the gun, because then I could just smoothly, you know, continue the whole entire, like, you know, drawing the gun, holstering it, getting it on target, yada yada. You know what I'm saying? But let me show you an example real quick with the other shirt. All right, so this is, remember when I was talking about the band? Because it doesn't have that slit in the middle. With the regular shirt like this, you can kind of just grab it from any angle, you know, and it'll just have the clearance you need to reach for the gun. Because I can just kind of grab it, have my hand up here, so when I pull my gun out, it doesn't just bump it. I have enough space to just start, you know, getting my grip on tact. I like this setup because it's more simplified, having a shirt like this, because it's easier to just grab. You know, you don't have to finesse it. So if you are, you know, if you don't deal with windy weather all the time and printing, and that's not an issue to you, hey, you're golden, bro. You're all set. All right, so the next tip I want to talk about is for those of you that carry like on your hip, strong side, you know, I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna be carrying in my like 4 o'clock. I guess if you're left-handed, that's gonna be like your 8 o'clock. But you're carrying, you know, on your side. It could be inside the waistband, outside the waistband, either or. The thing is, one of the things I had to learn the hard way was, depending on how I sit, sometimes my gun will get exposed. Because it really depends on how I'm sitting and how I'm moving my body around. The shirt will lift up over the gun and it'll just be exposed. And especially if I'm carrying, I got my mags on the other side as well. And it just, the weight of the gun and the angle of the shirt, and bro, it just like comes out and it's just showing. And I have to be very mindful of like making sure that, depending on where I'm at, if I stand up, make sure, you know, my gun's covered, I want to keep it concealed, I want to do my thing. You know what I'm saying? So I want to show you this example. I'm going to show you like me sitting down and like show you what I'm talking about. All right, now I'm sitting down. I can show you an example. So now I got my gun, like I'm straining it out now. And it's cool, you know, like it prints a bit, you know what I'm saying? The gun's sticking out a bit. It's on the shirt. But let me see if I can do it from the back side. So now like you can kind of see my mag carrier, my gun is all sticking out. And if I'm like moving around, talking, lifting up my hands, doing this or that, like it starts to like reveal more, you know? And it depends on like my angles, you know what I'm doing. If I'm like sitting, I'm like leaning or leaning forward a lot, it kind of shows a bit as far as the printing. And you see it, see what I mean? And if I'm not paying attention enough, eventually the whole thing just kind of like look at that, like that's a lot. But then when I stand up, I don't know, it's kind of like sticking out. It has been an issue for me at times, depending on what I'm doing, where the gun just kind of like, the shirt just kind of like rises up too high and everything is just exposed. So all I'm saying is just be mindful of that. And what I just tend to do, I just tend to try to like keep my back straight. I try to like, so I'm just sitting on like a little stool right now. Like, I just try to keep my back straight. And before I stand, I just try to be ready to just, make sure my shirt is straight down. So I don't have to worry about the print. Now, I'm gonna say this. This is probably not the best example, because I probably wouldn't carry this setup, because I do have double stack mags with a double stack firearm. And it does add some like width to this. And this shirt, like, it's probably not that wide to really cover it well, because it's printing. It's a bit more, you could tell, just the shirt alone shows it. If I had like a more of a wider size shirt, you probably wouldn't even see the print. But the point of this is just to be mindful of the way you have your setup while you're sitting. Depending on how you're moving around, it could, like, your shirt could lift up over the gun and it could be exposed. So just be mindful as you're sitting to just sit up straight and just be conscious of your gun. Be conscious of like your shirt not, rising up without you knowing about it. That's, the point of concealed carry. You want to keep it concealed. Because literally this happened to me not too long ago. I was at the park and I was like chilling, and I was just like laying down like on the grass, talking to some friends, just, relaxing. And I had a hoodie on and everything. And it was like a long hoodie and it was good. And it was, covering my stuff really good. But my hoodie was rising up to where like my mags, bro, were like popping out my gun holes. Like my thing was, it was showing in the park. And I didn't even know that. And I was like, oh shit, I need to like cover this. Because now I'm in, being in the state of Connecticut, they literally just put a ban on open carry. So now if I get caught open carrying, it's an issue, which is just kind of dumb. But yeah, if you're in a state where open carry is a problem, and just be mindful of that. And it's not even just that. It's not even just about open carrying. It's also about just maintaining proper concealed carry etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Just concealing your gun, but just be mindful of these things. You may or may not have this issue, but everyone, who carries is gonna sit down once in a while, you know what I'm saying? Not just in your car, but like other places in public as well. So just be mindful of, just like I said, just make sure you just, make sure it's not like it's gonna be hanging out. Like basically is when you stand up, you just don't want your gun to be shown. So you just wanna make sure it's taken care of, your shirt's covering it, and go about your day, you know what I'm saying? So it's something to be mindful about. All right, so the third tip I want to get into is about when you're carrying like appendix or inside the waistband, it's about having the proper clearance and like ride height so that you have a consistent proper grip the moment you go for the gun. And I'm gonna show you that. So when it comes to appendix carry, the way I like to carry that helps me best, personally, is I like to have my gun canted. Like I don't like it to have it straight. Because for me, what happens is that this clearance where the grip is, like I like my fingers when I go and grab the gun, what happens is that, you can see from here, it just jams, fingers jam into the belt. And I don't like that feeling, because when it jams into the belt and I try to get my grip is so off. Look right here, look, my fingers are all the way down here. You know what I'm saying? Look how bad that grip is. It's really low. It's supposed to be way up here, like high. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the issues that I have when it comes to having it straight, because you don't want the grip of the gun leaning on the belt, because it's going to be hard for you to even properly get it. You have to like really finesse it and, get it in the right angle to do that. And you're wasting seconds. You're wasting a whole second in doing that. That's pretty much dangerous. So what I do is I cant it so it's angled a bit, because it gives me all this clearance. So when I go for the gun, I don't have to worry about it bumping into the belt at all. Like I'm just going for it. You know what I'm saying? So now I have a cleaner draw. And if you're in this, same thing that applies if you're carrying like on the side, inside the waistband, you just want to make sure you have good clearance when you're just going for the gun. Now, there might be times where the ride height might be adjusted, where if you're going for a deeper concealment, you may have the gun sit low. And all I'm gonna say is that if that's your predicament, just make sure you practice drawing it in a way that helps you get a proper grip in some way. You know what I'm saying? Even if it has to take you some time, because obviously having it set up like this is going to be faster to get a proper grip than someone who has it like, if your gun is adjusted to have a lower ride height that goes kind of behind the belt and under, you practice that. That's really all I can say. Sit at home and practice finessing that. However you need to finesse it to make it work for you. But other than that, having good clearance for that grip is going to be a winner all the time. These 3 tips came from a place of mistakes I've made throughout my journey. And I'd rather not have you go through that trouble, you know, struggling with that throughout, you know, your journey. You're better off knowing this now, you know? So, hey, I really hope you learned something. And hey, thank you so much for watching.